we got a Cuban. As you start to go there, Americans, it's Brazilians. I mean, it's awesome to have not only this type of talent on this show, but from all over the world.
To ask you about Julieta, so two questions.
Think about this. As long as you've been in combat sports, think back, has there ever been a show that produces so much good talent in combat sports history? Right. Never. I mean, other than The Ultimate Fighter, and this is actually I mean, I wish we could do this every Tuesday for the rest of the year.
Why can't you?
Because there's not enough talent. I mean, some of these you heard even tonight. I mean, some of these guys took the fight on week's notice. So between the talent pool not being big enough and injuries, it's just be like running a whole nother business.
So Julieta's, the decision to not take her, it seemed to kind of like the Bo Nickel thing. I mean, what else could she do? She went in there and looked tremendous. So I want to ask you about that decision.
There's a big difference between her and Bo Nickel, though. Bo Nickel needed a little more experience, needed to see him again against somebody else, of a high caliber. This girl is super green. She turned 20 2 months ago. Yeah. Turned 22 months ago, and she is undersized for that weight division. She's really talented, but it's not the right time. She's a baby. She doesn't need to step into the UFC right now. We love her. We'll do whatever she needs down at the PI, let her train at the PI, let her get more fights in her weight class until she, starts to fill out. Tonight you saw a little girl fight a woman, and the little girl won. You know what I mean? Because I wrote down Spunky Monkey she was all over the place, bouncing around like a little maniac. She's awesome. She's acrobatic. She's got obviously a ton of heart. Landed some, just the head kick she landed was beautiful. A flying knee, she needs more time.
And the one thing I wanted to ask you, I remember when you opened the PI and I talked to you and you were talking about being able to finally mine the talent from down there and everything. Is this kind of the first sign of what you're seeing from that thing being open? What is it, 8 months now?
100%. And, she's with Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz is down there and is one of her trainers. I mean, once she starts to work with people like that, and she just needs time. She turned 20 2 months ago. We love her. She's just not ready.
Did you, I want to go to Luis and the Nick fight. Like, Nick gets the choke in early on, and it looks like, he came out like a house of fire, and he's going to win that fight and get his contract in the second thing. And Luis just, I haven't seen the scorecard yet, but I would imagine he won that first round because he was landing some major shots after there. The kind of heart that he showed to fight off that choke and to come back,
I said the same thing to Sean and Mick when the fight started. I said, the mentality of this guy. First of all, let's start with this. You take the fight on a week's notice. Royval, he comes to corner Royval. Then that happens to you in the first 15 seconds of the fight. And to overcome that mentally and do what he did in this fight, this guy is unbelievable. It's awesome. Loving it.
He reminded me a lot of Royval in terms of the balls and everything that he did, right?
No doubt about it. Definitely that camp. And Royval came over and told me the story and was like, you have no idea how badass this dude is. He's awesome. Oh, and think about this. This guy showed up here to corner. Royval was telling me this guy had a horrible weight cut. He said, we stayed up till 6 o'clock in the morning cutting weight, him and the team. So that guy went through hell to cut weight. You can only imagine. If you think of another cool fact, not one person missed weight this entire season of the Contender Series. This guy's 10-0 now. What's my favorite line here? I'm not looking for 30-year-old contenders. Yeah. This dude's awesome. I can't wait to see him fight next.
And the pace in that fight was just insane too. And Nick would take him down, and next thing you know, he's flipped on his head. It was crazy.
Well, again, you got to think about Nick's mentality. This guy was very hyped up by Daniel Cormier himself. A lot of hype around this kid. He came into the first one, and I didn't think he won the fight. I thought the judges got it wrong, and I said, I don't agree that he won. I want to bring him back. He agrees to come back. Much respect for him for doing that. Then comes in. his fight falls out, his opponent falls out a week ahead, and they slide this dude in. And just everything about this fight was incredible.
And as good as he was, would he be, if you were picking fighter of the night, would he be fighter of the night, or would it be Yadir or Nick? Because both, you know, in both of those cases.
You know what the beautiful thing is? That's the question tonight. That's how good tonight was.
If I can ask you, you put out a video that you were pretty adamant on about the rankings and about Khalil Rountree, and obviously, the rankings I saw tonight. There was somebody from a newspaper called, was it the Cherokee Sun or something, that is on the rankings panel. But your adamance was a little, where do you put Khalil? Obviously, we all greatly respect what he did against Alex, but he got knocked out, and the Volkan ahead of him has won, 2 or 3 in a row, and Nikita Krylov has won 3 or 4 in a row. I mean, how do you move a guy up getting knocked out with, guys like that ahead of him that have won?
If you look at who Pereira has beat, right, and how he's beat him leading up to this fight, he was winning on the scorecards when he got stopped. He was the head on the scorecards, stayed in the pocket, put on one of the greatest fights anybody's ever seen, and he stays at number 8. It's just, I can't handle incompetence. I can't take it anymore. It's driving me crazy. And I can't let people that I don't believe know what the fuck they're talking about deal with the rankings anymore. I just can't do it. I have to figure out a solution. Tomorrow I have a meeting with a group of people that are coming to me saying they have the solution to this problem. And God, I hope they're right, because I'm going to change it. The media will no longer control the rankings in the UFC.
Do you feel like it's fair it would be Krylov and Ozdemir?
What's
right?
not fair is for fighters to go in and do what they do and just have people that are either lazy or incompetent fuck up their shit.
Yeah, I'm not defending the rankings.
That I can't deal with anymore.
Yeah,
it's
I don't want to
crazy.
defend that overall ranking, but I'm just in this specific case because your adamance was a big part of it, and I just look at it. I go, Khalil got knocked out, and I guess your matchmaking said you thought he should have been ranked higher than number 8 to begin with, right? So when you made the match, is that fair to say that you felt that he was too low?
Yeah, but
at the time you made the match.
That's debatable. You don't know until they fight. The question is this: when we go into this fight, here's what everybody knew. Wow, this is going to be a great fight. Nobody thought, oh, this fight's going to suck. It's going to be this, that, which people do a lot. People will judge a fight before it happens, which you can never do. It's been proven a zillion times over. But here's the thing. When the fight is over, now we know where he really sits in the rankings. I mean, I just said this a week or two ago about Max Holloway and where he sits in the rankings. And I could literally go through the rank. We do it in matchmaking all the time. We sit in matchmaking, me, Sean, Mick, and Hunter, and we go, look at this, look at this. And then Tuesday's ranking comes out, and we go, here we go again. And it's something I need to fix. I need to stop bitching about it, and I need to fix it.
Can you give us a hint on what the system that you're talking about is about?
No, I don't know yet.
Oh, you haven't?
They're pitching me on it tomorrow.
And just the last question on that, just I don't want to go over, but like when you look at Nikita and Volkan, they both have been winning their fights and beating good people, right? So where would you?
Well, how you judge him? He just fought.
Right. Well, where would you put Khalil? I guess is the question.
Let's do this. The media says he's the number 2 pound-for-pound guy in the world. Pereira. Khalil was winning on the scorecards when he lost the fight. What? What does that fucking tell you? Where should Khalil be? He fought the number 2 pound for pound, who was judged number 2 pound for pound by the media, and was beating him on the scorecards when the fight finished. And it was an absolute fucking war.
Again, to be fair, he got knocked out, though.
Okay. In a fucking dogfight.
I agree.
Where does that put him? Did any of these other guys that are ranked ahead of him fight the number 2 pound for pound guy in the world? No, they did not. Then they can be judged when they fight the number 2 pound for pound guy in the world. But to have Khalil stay at number 8 is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I can't take it anymore. It needs to be fixed. AI isn't coming along fast enough. We need other solutions.
I didn't mean to get you upset.
No. It's just, it's not that I'm upset. It's, you know what, it's at the point where, hey, Dana, shut the fuck up and fix it. Stop bitching about it and fix it. That's it. So we're gonna figure this thing out, and the media will not control the rankings anymore.
How much in your matchmaking meetings do you pay attention to them now, given that you've been talking about this as a long-time problem? Like, do you even look at those rankings and consider them when you're making the fights, or do you just go off of what you think they should be?
No, we do. We obviously, the rankings are very important. It's important, or I wouldn't be, the rankings, judging, reffing. There are a lot of things that we can't control, because there should never be a scenario where we are personally controlling the rankings. Can't happen. You have to have another system in there where for instance, if I think, at the end of the day, I make fights that people want to see anyway. But I believe that I should not be the one controlling the rankings. So we're going to figure out a different system, because it can't be the people who have been doing it, because they're not doing it right.
And then last question for you is, you referenced Royval a little bit here, but I did not hear you speak about Royval at all. His performance against Tyra, I thought that was such a fantastic fight, and
I agree.
He's looking to get back in the title picture, and certainly he has an argument given what he just did and who he's also beaten. What was your take on his performance, and do you agree with him in terms of his saying that he deserves to be in a title fight soon?
Yeah, incredible fight, and obviously he deserves to be in a title fight. We'll just see how that plays out over the next several weeks. But yes, I agree. Unbelievable performance by both guys.
Hi, Dana. Probably your favorite question. Connor McGregor and Dan Hooker have made a fight all on their own. What do you think of that fight, and is that something you're even interested in?
Yeah, obviously, that would be a great fight. I like that fight. I did not announce a fight.
Have you talked to either of them about it since they announced it? UFC Tampa is scheduled for December. There have been 2 big hurricanes that came through Florida. Is that still the plan, do you think, or will there be?
I think so, because I think that, I don't know for me to speak like this, but I've heard from people it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be. It was still bad, and obviously, but I don't think it was as bad as they thought it was going to be. So we'll see how quickly things get cleaned up there. But yeah, we want to go back to Tampa. Tampa's an incredible market for us. And we have an unbelievable economic impact on cities, and I'm sure Tampa could use it.
Right. Last weekend, Themba Garimbo, he won his fight, and he mentioned he would like to be the backup for the Nick Diaz-Vicente Luque fight. And
Who wanted to be the backup?
Themba.
Who?
Themba.
Okay. Yeah.
He'd like to be the backup. I guess he predicted that fight wouldn't happen last time, so he wants to be the backup this time. Is that something you'd consider?
I don't know. I mean, it's not like we do backups for fights like that. We do backups for title fights. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if something happened, I guess we got a guy.
Ariana Grande did a UFC skit on SNL this weekend or last weekend. I'm curious, did they reach out to you guys about it ahead of time?
No.
Or did you?
No,
what did you think of it?
My phone started blowing up after it aired, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought she killed it. Yeah.
And just an update from last week. I'm not sure if you saw Oscar's fight, but he knocked his opponent down 4 times.
So yes, I did see it. I actually, after I talked to you guys that day, I moved my schedule around that morning so that I could watch it, and then they moved the fight, so it screwed my whole thing up. I won't tell you how I watched it, but I watched it. Yeah, he's a good kid. I'm happy for him. I mean, it was pure dominance. I mean, he dominated that guy. It was ugly.
Is it exciting to see that people like media, no, I don't think any of us are going to do bare knuckle, but to see that the influence of just coming here and covering a fight can inspire somebody to go out and do something like that?
Yeah, it's a little crazy, to be honest with you, but yeah, good for him, man. You cannot deny his performance. He went out and absolutely destroyed that guy.
Thank you.
Who does that guy work for?
Who?
The guy he fought.
He does. He works for DAZN. He does
play-by-play.
commentary and works for a lot of people.
Got it.
Dana, the Cuban kid beat the brakes off the Brazilian, and you give him high praise. One, I think you said that you can't wait and fight. Wait to watch him fight. I agree with you. How high do you think his ceiling is? And also the Brazilian kid that he fought showed toughness. Is he someone that you're going to bring back?
First of all, this guy Antonio, I don't know what that guy's face is made out of. He didn't even cut with all the elbows till the last round when he was mounted. The guy's never been knocked out, 22 fights, and something about Del Valle, I liked him the minute the fight started because, it was up against the fence, and, when you think about the Contender Series and somebody's pushing somebody against the fence, Mick and I were talking about, I was like, oh, I don't even give a shit. I actually like, this kid's got 22 fights and this kid's got 7. This is going to be interesting. And then in that second round, he threw the kitchen sink at him. He tried to finish him in that round. Then it gets interesting. How much left does he have in his gas tank after this? So it was a fun fight. I love the way that both guys fought that fight. 135 significant strikes, 168 total. Incredible. To 42. 135 significant strikes to 42 in that fight. Badass fight. I'm excited to see Del Valle fight again.
Were you happy that Herb Dean let the fight go in that second round, or if he would have stopped it, do you think it was acceptable just to stop that fight?
Yeah, I think it could have been stopped, but obviously anybody who thought that was wrong, because Antonio in the third round opened that third round like he was. So Sean Shelby told me that that's what this kid does. So apparently he has obviously an incredible chin, and he starts taking punishment, then he comes back and wins the fight. He's never been knocked out. And Sean said, don't be surprised if he comes back in the third, because this is like what this guy does. So it was awesome.
The first fighter from this season competed last weekend, Cody Haddon, the Australian kid. I was just wondering if you watched his fight.
Say that again? Oh, the kid. Yeah, no, I didn't see it.
He performed very well.
Yeah, love it.
Cowboy Cerrone said he's coming out of retirement.
I hate it.
He wants 2 more fights.
I hate it.
Is that stuff?
Love him, hate that. He retired. It's just what for what? What's left to prove? If you want to make money, let's figure something else out. And I hate it.
And I wanted to ask about
when guys retire, they retire for a reason. They don't just retire because they retire because they know it's over. It is. So I think that not just this sport, but any professional sport is hard to walk away from. Not just the money. That's obviously a very hard part of it, but the feeling of walking out of that tunnel, the feeling of getting in the cage, and the place is packed and everybody. Look at every time we're at a show. When you show Cowboy Cerrone on the screen, the place goes nuts. He's beloved. He's beloved because the guy goes to war, and he's been in wars for years, and it's time to not go to war anymore, man. It's just there's nothing left to prove for him.
It's safe to say he won't be fighting in the UFC.
I'd rather work something else out with him, figure out another way. If it's about money, then he can do something else, because he ain't gonna fight for the rest of his life, and he's always gonna need to make money. So let's figure that out now instead of 3 years from now.
I wanted to ask you about UFC 310. You announced that last week, Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat. The co-main event, Kayasar Kura is getting a title shot in his UFC debut. It's kind of a rare thing for a UFC fighter making the UFC debut to get a title shot. What went into the process of giving him the title shot?
Was we talking about the Japanese kid?
Yeah.
He's a bad boy. This isn't a guy that needs to come in and be tested or figure out what he's one of the best in the world. We're going to find out that night if he's the best in the world.
So you're looking forward to what he's going. But did timing also play a factor?
Timing always plays into it. Timing is always a factor. But I think it wouldn't have mattered when he came in. He was going to get a title shot and no matter who the champion was.
Gotcha. And then mentioned Nick Diaz versus Vicente Luque. How confident do you believe Nick Diaz is going to show up in December?
You never know. I'm not confident that anybody's going to show up any weekend. So anything can happen. It's not just Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz is one of those guys. It's funny. I sent the video to Lorenzo the other day on my Instagram. Gomi versus Nick Diaz popped up in Pride. Nick Diaz isn't not going to show up because he's, concerned about fighting anybody. Anything is possible, especially when you get older, especially when you haven't competed in a while. Anything is possible, but we'll see.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dane over here.
Yep.
To your left. There. Obviously, Contender Series is going 8 seasons strong now. As we go to the 9th one next year, I know you guys are always focused on making anything you guys do even better. So are there, off the top of your head, are there any ways you can think of making season 9 an even better season than the previous seasons?
No, I mean, like I said, I would do this every Tuesday for the rest of my life if we could. But it's actually better that, you do one a year, you let the talent pool fill up more, and then, you can have fights like we had tonight. And I love the fact that, think about this, when you think about boxing, right? Like some of these kids like tonight, now the perfect fight was Luis and Nick. 9-0 versus 7-0, both undefeated guys. You would never see guys fight at this point in their career in boxing. Here you do. That's why when, just coming into the Contender to get into the UFC, then you have to work your way through the gauntlet of whatever weight division you're in. So there's never a question when you get to when you get to a title fight whether a guy deserves it or not. You've already fought all these, some of the baddest dudes in the world to get there, which never happens in boxing. So how do we make it better? I mean, what the trend is that the talent pool just keeps getting better and better.
For sure. And I know the PI in Mexico was mentioned earlier. Obviously, Julieta, she does work out there in the PI in Mexico. And they have a UFC academy out there. I'm sure you've heard of it and seen the talent out there, but it's only been a couple of months. And Kevin Vallejos, who was part of that, got signed this season. And obviously, Julieta put up a great performance today. So how long do you think it will take for the UFC academy and the people out there from the PI out there to really kind of take over and just start sprouting the talent all over here?
How long do I think it'll take for talent to start coming out
just
of Mexico?
Like an even bigger way than it is right now.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's like our first year down there. Wait till we've been there a good solid 3-4 years, and you got guys like Dominic Cruz and other great trainers down there training and working with these people, the type of sparring that they'll get down there. Over the next 3-4 years, you're going to see unbelievable talent coming out of Mexico.
Sure. And obviously this weekend, Francis Ngannou is making his MMA debut at PFL. I just want to get your thoughts on that. And
what do I care?
For sure. Thank you.
Yep. Glad I can answer your question.
Did you have any feedback from Dominic or Eric Del Fierro, who was here, that they're in Mexico, like day to day with the kids? Like any feedback from them? Like what do they think of the first generation they have there?
Any feedback from Dominic Cruz or Eric Del Fierro about how the kids are doing down there? At the PI.
Yeah, I would ask them that. And obviously, I hear good things. Yeah, I was just talking to Dominic tonight, but that's a question for them.
And when you see a girl like Julieta, who's so talented, but she's she's small for
the weight class. She's small for the weight class, and she's really young, and she's really green. That's why I didn't bring her in tonight. We can keep her down the PI. She's talented. I don't want to see her come to the UFC and get hurt. She's too young. She's got nothing but, you're not even in your prime till you're 28. But she just turned 20.
But especially in Latin America and Brazil, there's a lot of 105ers that are really talented.
Well, that's the other thing. As you start to talk about South America, you start to talk about, Asia, whether it's China or Japan or Korea, as we keep cultivating talent in these places, we might end up creating another division.
Like the 105 is like in your mind right now? Like,
Do I want what?
The atom weight could be on your mind.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
And Ledley, do you probably you, Sean, and Hunter, and Meek are the ones who know more about how the fights are done, if someone refuses to fight, if someone gets injured. And I know you mentioned that you don't want to be part of the rankings, but is someone that could know more than you about some of these fights? Because probably us from the media, we don't learn about a lot of what happens like backstage on all of these negotiations about these fights to make. It would make sense like you have part on the rankings. I mean, from my...
That we have a fighter do what? Be involved in the ranking?
Yeah, like you and Meek and Hunter and Sean, like take part of the rankings. And I know you said that you don't want to do it.
No, we can't do it. I don't think that it's right that we would do the rankings. No matter how unbiased you try to be, it's impossible. And I'll be honest with you. There are some fighters I don't like. There's fighters that I really like. And there's things that are good for the business. There's things that you might think, I don't want that in our hands at all. Not mine, not Sean's, not Mick's, not Hunter's, nobody's. There has to be a third party that or AI or something that does the rankings. It's impossible not to be biased. And I believe that there's bias with the media too. It's impossible not to be biased. So, no, I don't agree with that. It doesn't matter if somebody's hurt or whatever it is. The fact that the last straw, the straw that broke the camel's back is this guy puts on this fucking performance and he's ranked number 8 still. It's just the fucking dumbest shit that I have ever seen in my, other than Max Holloway and 10 other fucking things I could throw at you. It's just dumb. It's either dumb or lazy, or both. There's nothing worse than dumb and lazy.
And finally, what do you think about Ilia Topuria wearing the BMF belt this week? And one question that most fans has, like Max being the BMF champ, why is that not in the table for this fight?
Next question. Yeah. That belt's we're I get it. He wants to rock his belt, and there was talk about in the artwork him having it, but that belt isn't up for grabs that night. So there's no reason to have that belt in any of the pictures. You won't see it again unless Max brings it and wears it and stuff like that. That's up to him. It's his belt. Oh, was he really?
Yeah, he's been wearing all week and posting on
That's
social media. And
No, it's not. It's not up for grabs, and sounds like a little mental warfare to me. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
thank you.